In Landman Season 2, Andy Garcia assumes two distinct personas, and it would be helpful to clarify the distinction between Dan Morrell and Gallino. When he rescued Tommy from cartel leader Jimenez at the conclusion of Landman Season 1, Andy Garcia made his debut as Gallino. It wasn't a straight rescue, though, as Gallino revealed himself a villain when he informed Tommy that the cartel was intending to strongarm its way into M-Tex and the oil company through Tommy. Now, in Landman Season 2, Gallino is making good on that promise. He's now backing Cooper's independent oil company and his plan to drill into played-out wells, and he made him a deal that was too good to be true. Gallino also still wants a business connection with Tommy, and he's not above threatening him to obtain what he wants. Gallino's new alter ego has a part to play in his goals, therefore it's important getting to know Dan Morrell and why he exists. One thing is certain, regardless of Gallino's dual identities, Tommy won't be able to get rid of him with ease. Gallino has consistently emphasized his willingness to collaborate with Tommy, and his investment in Cooper's career and future is confirmation of that. Gallino believes Tommy is a good investment, so Tommy won't be able to convince him to cease wanting to be friends with him. As he remarked to Cammy, Gallino invests in people he believes in, and Tommy is one of those people. Being friends with Tommy opens up a lot of opportunities for Gallino, including the fact that he has Cooper under control, that he met Cammy because of Tommy, and that he may be planning to start investing in her and M-Tex now that he believes in her. Tommy serves as Gallino's entry point into the oil industry, and he intends to use Tommy for as long as possible, whether Tommy likes it or not. Of course, Gallino's investments are also illegal. In summary, Tommy won't be rid of Gallino until the latter is dead, imprisoned, or lets him go. He's too vital to Gallino, and Gallino sees too much profit to be made in a man as hardworking and skilled as Tommy. It's not quite apparent what Gallino/Dan Morrell has planned for Tommy, Cooper, and maybe Cammy and M-Tex in Landman Season 2, but there's a very low chance that it's nice, and a very low chance Tommy will be able to get out of it. Andy Garcia's character is also known as Dan Morrell, even though Landman first introduced us to him as Gallino. Dan founded Sonrisa, a finance and investment company that chose to use Cooper's novel approach to enter the oil business. He is married to an Italian woman named Bella, whom Tommy, Angela, and Cammy met at the clubhouse, as we discovered in Landman Season 2, Episode 3. Bella may not be aware of Dan's cartel connections, and she also seems to believe that he is from Cuba and cannot return for political reasons. In terms of business, Dan and Sonrisa are in the investing industry. Dan even sees his ties to the cartel as Gallino as a form of investment and diversification of his holdings. It's interesting to note that Dan appears to have true faith in Cooper and his business plan, that he told Tommy that Cooper has uncovered a blind hole in the oil sector by digging in wells no other company would touch, and he seemed to sincerely believe his investment in Cooper is fair and mutually beneficial. It's not exactly apparent why Gallino employs the name Dan Morrell in a professional, public-facing capacity, but there are a few possible answers. In order to protect himself legally and from cartel violence, Garcia's character probably uses two names, Gallino, his cartel persona, and Dan, his professional and legal persona. Having two identities probably helps Gallino maintain his life apart from individuals like Bella, because he is also a very private man. In truth, Gallino may possibly be the alias, while Dan Morrell may be the real identity of Andy Garcia's character. Dan goes to great measures to explain to Tommy that he only sees the cartel as an unconventional venture because he considers himself an investor. Dan certainly utilizes Gallino so he may invest in an underground enterprise like narcotics. After all, the majority of his commercial transactions have been completely legitimate financial investments in oil, for which Dan is more beneficial than Gallino. There's an invisible murderer in Landman Season 2, but the show didn't completely explain the hazardous gas leak that nearly lost Dale and Boss their lives. While hunting, a party of wild boar hunters came across an oil tanker in Landman Season 2, Episode 3. They quickly fell over and perished. Later, Boss, Dale, and a few other M-Tex personnel arrived to the same tanker and began coughing, vomiting, and freaking out. Landman didn't properly define H2S, even though Dale did mention an H2S gas leak and the situation's lethality was obvious. Given how much of an issue H2S caused Dale and Boss and how it will probably add to Tommy and M-Tex's expanding list of issues, that explanation is really significant. Regretfully, H2S is a known and actual risk associated with the oil sector. As was previously noted, H2S, or hydrogen sulfide, is the gas that killed people in Landman Season 2, Episode 3. The M-Tex employees were able to recognize hydrogen sulfide so fast and protect themselves because it is a very hazardous and combustible chemical molecule that, at low quantities, smells like rotten eggs. As Dale pointed out, H2S typically sticks close to the ground because it is a heavier gas than air. Unfortunately, oil sector personnel and roughnecks are likely already familiar with H2S. OSHA states that hydrogen sulfide leaks can happen anywhere and at any time, from acid treatments on rigs and tanks or from subterranean oil and gas wells. Hydrogen sulfide is odorless and can cause breathing difficulties, organ damage, loss of consciousness, and, nearly instant, death in large amounts, such as the H2S leak in Landman, OSHA. Many oil workers, like Dale and Boss, wear electronic detectors that can alert them to the presence of H2S. When hydrogen sulfide leaks are identified in real life, there are usually processes in place to ventilate the area and get the gas out of restricted spaces. Many oil workers will also carry personal protection equipment like gas masks, which Landman also got correct. In summary, the oil business is constantly and greatly concerned about H2S. This fresh H2S leak is a major issue for Tommy, M-Tex, and the entire Landman cast in the context of Landman Season 2. Dale stated that M-Tex could strengthen its wrongful death insurance coverage, and he was likely onto something. The hydrogen sulfide spill claimed the lives of 4 innocent bystanders and damaged or almost killed a number of M-Tex workers. M-Tex is accountable for the fatalities and injuries since it is in charge of maintaining its equipment. However, Cammy's examination of Monty's office revealed that M-Tex is short on cash. The firm also has to find $400 million to rebuild the offshore gas rig, and it just can't afford a multi-million-dollar wrongful death payout right now. Additionally, that doesn't even account for the tanker's repair expenses or the amount of work required to remedy the H2S leak. This H2S leak only made M-Tex's financial problems worse. There are also some personal ramifications of the disclosure on individual Landman personalities. This is another cause of stress for Tommy, yet both Dale and Boss were nearly killed. Boss particularly was highly upset by the leak, and he was continually thinking of his family during it. Dale and Boss might decide not to work for M-Tex as a result of the H2S leak, which would be a major setback for Landman. Tommy Norris had a lot of new issues to cope with in Landman Season 2, Episode 3, as if things weren't already difficult enough. Episode 2 of Landman Season 2 delved further into Tommy's shattered upbringing and family, while Episode 3 shifted its focus back to his current career issues. M-Tex is in considerably worse shape than Tommy expected, and Cooper is in more difficulty than he understands. But, not everything in Landman Season 2, Episode 3 was terrible news for Tommy. Ariana found a new job. Tommy made some headway in solving M-Tex's problems even as they continue growing worse, and he may be getting officially remarried to Angela after years of being divorced. That a lot happened in this week's episode of Landman, and there are certain topics that could use a bit of clarity. How Landman Season 2's M-Tex is out of money. M-Tex's lack of funds is one of the most significant revelations in Landman Season 2, Episode 3. Cammy, Tommy, Neil, and Rebecca are all scrambling to pull together cash to rebuild the offshore natural gas rig that was wrecked by a hurricane, but they can't find the $420 million insurance payment that was paid out to Monty. In truth, Monty concealed all of M-Tex's money before he died, and no one can seem to locate it. Monty's money is buried through numerous layers of intricate financial factors, yet Landman nevertheless offered us a serviceable grasp of where it all is. Basically, Monty was playing very fast and loose with his money, and it's so mixed up in his shady transactions that M-Tex is absolutely cash poor. In order to reduce the amount of corporate taxes he had to pay, Monty concealed all of M-Tex's funds in his personal accounts and used credit lines to cover everything from payroll to operating costs. It's unclear at this point if Monty still had all of the money that M-Tex was meant to have. Alan will probably be able to get part of Monty's money back to Cammy, now that he's been suitably motivated by Tommy shattering a bottle over his head, but probably not the full $420 million. Even if he can, though, M-Tex needs the money now to rebuild the gas rig and prevent a lawsuit from the insurance company. Essentially, the entire company is in peril because to Monty's questionable business and financial practices. More details regarding Andy Garcia's Gallino, including his alter persona, were disclosed in Landman Season 2, Episode 3. As of right now, Gallino's primary name is Dan Morrell. Dan is the head of Sonrisa, the banking organization that bankrolled Cooper's oil sites, and he regards